Yeah, Matt over here.
Yep.
Yeah, with Coach mentioned Linnell Carr as somebody that's really standing out. I guess could you give us your impressions of him and how he's made sort of that impression on you guys?
He's done a great job in camp. He's high energy. You could feel him on the practice field. He brings physicality and pass rush ability, which is unique to have that combination. He's done a really good job, on the edge for us. So really excited about what he's proven in camp, and we expect him to continue to do.
Kind of asking you from your perspective what I asked Coach Allen in terms of the balance you strike between wanting to sort of the fundamentals, whatever he talks through, sort of he wants to underpin the defense, but also sort of you thinking, okay, but this is what I want to do with it week to week, where I want to go with it game. Just what's the balance there? Is it kind of dependent on the opponent? Is it dependent maybe on how certain guys develop within their positions? Just what's most important?
Yeah, it's a great question. It starts with a system. Coach Allen has a system. There's fundamentals of how we play defense, of how we stop the run, pressure a quarterback, stop the throw game. So he starts with a system. The tweaks to me are week to week in a game plan of twofold. What does the opponent do best and how do you limit that? What do we do best, right? So that's part of the process of learning the players, especially new faces. I'm obviously new, but new bodies that are here from transfers and things like that. What do those guys do best? How do we highlight that? But definitely, what does opponent do, right? This is a pro-style system, an air raid system, right? How do those function, and how do you limit from there? But to answer your question, we have a system in place with Coach Allen, it's been in system for a long time that's been in place here, and it'll stay that system.
I guess just kind of your first evaluation of yourself calling plays in this defensive style against your own offense, obviously. What kind of goes into that evaluation process for you afterwards, and I guess how do you feel it went the first time?
For sure. It's been great. I've enjoyed coming in and learning here and then being able to apply that and teach the players. To me, no matter, when it's been in my career, you take the emotion out of it and you're objective. So it doesn't matter if you're, in my past at Duke or other places, what do the numbers show? Was it successful or was it not successful, right? Whether it's a normal down and distance, a red zone opportunity, a backed up situation, a 2 minute to win a game, right? And then you say, okay, what worked, what didn't, why? So to me, that's the objective side of things of, okay, hey, it's black and white. There's no gray in between, Was it a lack of understanding if it failed? Was it a, poor call in that situation right from there, or asking a player to do something he can't do? Those are all things that you try to eliminate that before, it's real and it's live from there. But I would say take the emotion out, be objective, no ego. We lock arms in there as a defensive staff and we address it and move forward. But it's been awesome. Camp's been a blast. It's a great group of guys to work with. Our guys have trended in the right direction.
Yeah, Philip Dunham was one of the few true freshmen who really played a lot last year. I guess just what's been your impression of him in fall camp? What do you like? Where do you want to see him keep growing?
For sure. Very talented guy. You saw that. That's why you earned playing time as a freshman. He came in, he's got length, he has speed, he has, physicality, he has ball skills. He has a lot of traits that you want from a safety standpoint. Any young player, as they turn into older players, maturity is the curve that they're on right there, right? So that's been a consistency is the biggest thing, from where he was a year ago to where he is now, an increase from a consistency standpoint, but he's trending in the right direction and has had a really good camp.
What'd you take from last year working at Ohio State as an analyst, and how, what were the challenges of it? What was sort of, how did you use it to sort of, reset and kind of go from there?
For sure. It's a unique perspective to, have been a position coach and have been a coordinator and then be able to see it in a different lens from that standpoint, And so you learn from any organization leadership styles, right? You learn how to manage situations from that standpoint, build relationships with new people. It's like your first day of school, right? Everything's new to you from that standpoint. But I would say every day, well, it's been at Ohio State and other places, is a great learning opportunity. But at a program that's obviously had a lot of success, you learn how to win at the highest level, from that standpoint. I think just from a personal standpoint, you take a step back and you say, okay, what are the things that I've liked that I've done throughout my career, or maybe things that I would tweak, and it gives you maybe a little bit more time to be able to say, how would I apply that forward? No, I think it's a good exercise, to be honest with you. Sometimes when you're in the fire, right, you don't see the big picture at times, so I think it gives you a chance to be able to reassess and then apply going forward, so I'm very gracious for that opportunity for what that was afforded me there. And then obviously, as you guys know, I've had a long lasting relationship with Jim Knowles. We worked together for 7 years and are very close. So to be able to have that relationship with a coordinator is unique in that role too, from that standpoint. So very involved with him, from that standpoint.
Coach, you talked about Philip Dunham before. Just are there with your safeties, are there any other players that have come in this fall and really impressed you or really surprised you?
Noah Pierre, from a leadership standpoint, I mean, you could feel him from the time he takes the field in meetings. He has that hungry dog mentality every single day, and he's been awesome from that standpoint. And his play continues to rise. And then Lewis Moore would be the other one too. Who in the spring trending in the right direction, has continued that progress, but has been really productive on the field and been a leader off it as well.
Matt, a couple years ago, Indiana's defense was really rolling. Of course, takeaways were the key to that, and that has just really fallen off, as has the defense. What can you do, have you done to focus on that? Because when you're a team like Indiana that obviously does not have the talent that Michigan's and Ohio State's have, you have to do things like that. But what can you do to get this program back to those things?
It's a great question. I think it's twofold. How do you drill it to make sure that it happens? That's been a big point of emphasis from the time that I've been here, right? Takeaways, tackling, and effort is our DNA from that standpoint, right? So how do we make sure we're taking the ball away? We've thought long and hard in the offseason of what are the best drills to simulate this? How do we demand this at practice? How are we held accountable when we don't do this? So that's the first start. The other is the design, right? So I'll use an example of if you played in 2017 at Duke, we played on normal downs, the second most man coverage in the country. Okay, we weren't a great takeaway team, but we had a lot of PBUs because guys weren't looking at a football, right? So from that standpoint is also the design, right? What's the balance of tight coverage and zone coverage and pressure on a quarterback or dropping into coverage, right? So that's the fine line. So just going back and seeing, okay, how were these takeaways created? And then trying to get back to that from a design standpoint and then also from a drill standpoint.
Yeah, I asked about Carr, but what about the rest of the defensive line? I mean, you got Andre Carter, you got a lot of new faces there with Burris, transfers coming in, returners. What do you kind of have seen from that competition, and how have you liked how things have developed over the last couple weeks?
It's been great. You have depth and competition, which is what you want at every single position, right? Andre Carter has definitely made his presence felt from the time that he's been here. Marcus Burris has trended throughout fall camp. Philip Liddy's been a physical guy in the middle for us. So there's a number of guys. I mean, I can name a number of guys. I'm leaving guys out right now. But you want depth and competition. That's been real from that standpoint. And I think that they're making each other better. They're making our defense better and team better because they're competing against each other. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.